Any story worth telling is worth telling again, which is why so many Western films have at least one, if not a few, remakes. Obviously, there are economic advantages to taking the well-worn trail, the retreading of a classic tome, or popular work with a built-in audience, but there can be artistic advantages too. Just like myths or biblical tales, sometimes the retelling of a story is the point of the story. The filmmakers aren't remaking the film because they lacked new ideas. They're reinscribing a myth for a new moment or setting, reframing great stories built on mythic spines to highlight their relevance to a new audience. Stories with that kind of moral architecture and timelessness can easily be lifted out of one era and dropped cleanly into another. But when they're at their best, remakes aren't mere copies. They're conversations with their earlier counterparts. What does redemption look like now? What kind of masculinity do we believe in today? Who are the good guys? Who are the bad guys? Are these themes universal? In a New York Times article published way back in 1937, they remarked, "Remaking old films is really old hat for cinema people. Although the screen has only recently emerged from its swaddling clothes and managed to crawl just about halfway into its metaphoric knee pants, it already belies its years and even casts fond, reminiscent glances backward. Depending upon one's point of view, the studios may be regarded as either taking critical stock in themselves or cashing in on their old preferred. The latter view seems more consistent with the facts." It's Horses on Film. Howdy, y'all. Welcome to episode 17 of Horses on Film. I'm your host, Cameron Chapman, and this is the podcast dedicated to determining the top 100 Westerns of all time. And we're using as our guide the list that IndieWire put out in 2024. From there, we're adding, subtracting, mixing it up, finding new movies to put on there, movies to pull off. We're going to make it work. And so thank you very much for joining us on this little journey through the American West. And I'm joined, as always, by my hosts. Where's Dave? Where's Scott? There they are. Hello.
Howdy.
Howdy.
Howdy, partner.
Yeah, I feel like we haven't done this for a few weeks, but
This is we haven't done this for a couple of weeks.
I guess we haven't, but that's the schedule. That's what we're doing, so it's all good. Last episode we covered Dead Man, which was pretty well received. It's in 9th position out of 16. That's a little higher than I was expecting, but pretty cool.
It's very different than what we've done already, which I liked. So
yeah,
so
it's
maybe that helps.
15 out of 20 rating, average 3.750. So I mean, we've got kind of a few movies that are in that 15 out of 20 range. The tiebreaker being the amount of horses in it, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like we're trucking along and we're almost at 20%. We're almost like we put a pretty big dent in this list already. So it's pretty good.
Yeah, I was thinking that when you said 17, I was like, oh, cool. We're like, we're getting there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right.
Barely seems like it seems like we've just started.
Yeah, I still kind of feel like we're finding our legs and so thank you for being patient with us as we make our way through this, because I still feel like the show kind of gets better and better every episode, and we're getting a little rhythm going, so it's good. This one we're covering is Hell's Heroes. You guys want to get right into it?
Yeah, we can do that.
Sure, great. Let's
right, so
let's cue it up.
Throw that there and cue the mood music. Three bank robbers on the run happen across a woman about to give birth in an abandoned covered wagon. Before she dies, she names the 3 bandits as her newborn son's godfathers.
Yeah, Hell's Heroes, 1929, one of the oldest movies we've covered so far. I think the oldest one we've covered so far, one of the oldest on the list altogether. Directed by William Wyler. It's his first talkie. He also went on to do The Big Country, which is on this list. Ben-Hur, Roman Holiday. He's a prolific, famous, great director. Screenplay by Tom Reed, and then some script work done by C. Gardner Sullivan. It's based on Peter B. Kyne's 1913 short story titled The Three Godfathers. It stars Charles Bickford, Raymond Hatton, and Fred Kohler. It's shot under the midsummer heat of the Mojave Desert, the actual Mojave Desert, where the story is set. Bodie State Park and Panamint Valley, California, in August of 1929. So August in the desert, they actually did this. The original short story has been adapted several times, and I'm going to go as fast as I can on this one. I know Dave's seen all of them. Well, a lot of them. Yeah, several times. Okay, so first is Edward Lasainte's 1916 silent film, which was also called The Three Godfathers. Again, as a silent film in 1919 called The Marked Men by John Ford. Both of those are considered lost films. There was a tiny clip at the beginning of my thing. There's not a lot of footage left from those. 1929's Hell's Heroes was the first adaptation with sound. It was made again as Three Godfathers in 1936 by Richard Bolslowski. John Ford made it a second time, this time as the number 3 Godfathers in 1948, starring John Wayne. That's probably the most accessible version, one of the more famous ones. There was a made-for-TV movie starring Jack Palance called The Godchild, 1974. There was an episode of Walker, Texas Ranger in 1996. 2002's computer animated feature from Blue Sky Studios, Ice Age, or The Ice Age. Some Simpsons writers involved in that one. As well as there was a Japanese anime very popular at Christmas time called Tokyo Godfathers in 2003. 2015, there was a German film called Three Turken and ein Baby. Again, for TV in 2018, there's an episode of a German series called Die Drei von der Mullefjör, which I think is the 3 garbage men, perhaps, where 3 garbage men find a baby in the trash. I'm still going. There was a 1987 episode of the TV series Tour of Duty. Then 87 again, 3 Men and a Baby, which is one of the most box office success stories out of this. It was, of course, already a remake of the French film Trois Hommes et un Coffin, which is 3 Men in a Cradle, 1985. And then it is again getting remade by Walt Disney and the Jim Henson Company, directed by Maurice Marabel, starring Zac Efron. That has yet to come out. They've been talking about that for a while. I think maybe COVID put that on the back burner. I don't know if it's still happening. But Exhale, did I get all of them?
Probably not.
No, I didn't, because the influence of this short story has been seen from 1913's The Sheriff's Baby by D.W. Griffiths all the way up to Full House, to Fuller House, to The Mandalorian and Grogu, which is releasing in 2026. It's a story that has been they've gone back to the well on this time and time and time again. I mean, its origins perhaps even in the Bible. We're joined today by an author and a folklorist, Mark Muncy, and you might even have more info of where this story has been influenced or even where it came from.
Yeah, I've got to say, you were talking about 1913, where it was first called The Three Godfathers. That was actually a rewrite of his original magazine article.
Right.
His magazine short story called Bronco Billy and the Baby.
Right.
which is crazy because he even rewrote it himself. You go back to the well. That's what they always say when it works. Hey, you got to pay that bill.
When it works, it works. And I think in 1915 there was a silent film of Bronco Billy and the Baby too.
And the Baby. So if you follow those, oh my gosh, there's Lone
They
Wolf
say
and
like,
Cub.
I was thinking Wolf Cub, but they say like there's 7 stories and everything's a remix of it. Is this one of the core ones? I think is what we're.
I think it pretty much is.
I think if we go back to even just the 3 wise men, and not that they had to take Jesus anywhere, but that story of the 3 wise men visiting Jesus in the Bible is just, it's so ubiquitous and it's so easy to adapt into other things that it's no wonder that this story just kind of keeps getting done.
It's the Magi crossing the desert. I think even Top Gear did an episode on it. So
exactly. Any movie with a baby's day out. I wonder if we could,
kind of, but it's man. No, it's one of those. Like I said, the reason I wanted to be on this one. Thank you guys for having me.
Thanks for joining.
Well, first off, the tragic that you're not including Tremors 4 in any of this is just, that's heartbreaking to me that's not on the list.
I didn't even know they made a Tremors 4. That's
amazing. Gosh, they made 8 of them. Come on.
Oh my God.
4 is the prequel Western backstory of it, and it's incredible. So I highly recommend. That goes on your should be on the list.
Yeah, that's on my radar now. That's great.
All right, yeah, give it a try. It's fun. It's goofy fun. And Tremors 1, come on, that's Western too.
Yeah, that we have talked about Tremors 1 because it was shot in Lone Pine, California,
and lots of horses.
I think on the Tall T episode we talked about that one. So Tremors is on the radar, but I honestly did not know they made more than maybe 1 or 2 of those.
I think I knew 3 of them, and I knew they were trying to make a TV series, but other than
that, they did a TV series after 3, and then they kind of went back with 4 to do the prequel, and then later on. But anyway, Tremors diversion there. Sorry about the bunny
that's
trail.
great. That's great. So Mark, were you familiar first with the story of this, or this production, or one of the other 3 Godfather versions?
I think my first childhood memory of this was the John Wayne version.
Okay.
I think I saw it on TV one day, but then I think somewhere in there was based on a short story by this. And I, growing up in West Virginia in the late 70s, early 80s, Satanic Panic was everywhere. I couldn't read my beloved fantasy science fiction. I would be murdered or crucified myself.
Burned at the stake.
So, yeah, exactly. So I skirted it by finding Westerns. And thankfully monster movies. That was the one thing I could get away with because that was Saturday mornings after cartoons. We had the old horror hosts showing monster movies.
Oh, I love it.
But then on Sundays, it was Westerns. They would show Westerns all day. When I wanted to avoid the biblical shows, I could watch Westerns. And so I think it was the John Wayne one that got me. But then as I found out there was an original story, I found some Western, I think it was like 100 Western stories or something like that. Mm-hmm. And that was in there. The 3 Godfathers. And man, it was a good read. You don't realize it, but you start it. I was reading a lot of pulps at the time, the Conan stuff and all that. It was mostly Burroughs. I think I was reading a lot of Tarzan and stuff like that, but that really hit hard. I mean, it was a kind of a brutal story when you read it, and
absolutely,
and then you watch the John Wayne movie. It's like, all right, and then I think it was then I started looking up the other versions, and somewhere along the lines, this one turned up. I don't remember exactly when, but I was still young, probably too young to have seen this.
Yeah,
but there are moments in this. I guess it's because it was an early talkie, so they didn't know how to do soundtracks right.
Right.
So there's a bunch of this where there is no music, and it is deafeningly silent.
Yeah, especially across the desert.
Yeah. Like it You don't. I think we use sound so much nowadays that when there wasn't any, it is very noticeable.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And even just
And-
the whistling wind and
man,
some of that
yeah.
bleakness. This is bleak. This is the gritty, this is the
Mhm.
gritty reboot. It comes very early in all the many reboots, but I mean, we talked about it being pre-code. This is pre-code, and
Oh yeah.
certainly there's a lot more on the table than what would have been there a few years later.
Yeah.
How about you,
I would have
Dave?
loved to have seen. I would have loved to have seen the John Ford 1919, just because John
Yeah.
Ford's incredible. But yeah, this one is. It's just there's that moment. There's those few moments where it's just the silence is deafening, literally, and you just you feel that. Oh my God, the isolation and all that, the desert. And again, this was also one of the early ones filmed on location.
Mhm.
Pretty much before this, everything was
Absolutely.
studio. You know,
This
just
is
filmed
not
in the
studio. There's no
Mhm.
fake backlots. He wanted to be out there in the heat, and really like suffer, and they did. It's a hard watch in some ways. Dave, I was just asking. You watched a bunch of different versions of this.
Yeah, coming into this, we had an extra
yeah.
week in between recordings, so I
Right.
had more time to watch stuff. So I did. So
Yeah.
I got to watch, the newer the two Three Godfathers versions, Ice Age, 3 Men and a Baby. Honestly, 3 Men and a Baby, I don't understand why it was one of the top movies of that year.
I think
really
there's some
don't.
iconic 80s looks in there.
From a fashion standpoint, 100%.
Yeah.
But the film itself was just not, and maybe it was because I was looking at it from a standpoint of remake of Three
Mhm.
Godfathers and putting it in that box when I
think you have
watched
to
it.
think about Ted Danson.
I would
Tom
say,
Selleck.
yeah, you had
Gutenberg.
3 80s icons.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah, Steve Gutenberg.
Yeah.
Gutenberg
I don't
is
know that
a
it holds up.
hero. We
Yeah.
don't use that word often enough. He's a hero,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
leave Gutenberg alone.
Yep.
And
No.
I mean, if you guys want to drink, I have worked with Ted Danson.
Cheers.
Oh.
And I will say, in my heart of hearts, whenever anyone asks me who's your favorite person you ever worked with, 1,000,000% it's Ted Danson and Mary Steenburgen. They are the sweetest people. I wanted them to adopt me. Mary got me into a film school that I couldn't attend, but she just pulled strings, and they're just like amazing, like the sweetest, nicest people on the planet. So yeah,
you always hear horror stories, so it's always nice when it's like,
Oh,
no, they're better than you think.
yeah, the absolute best person I ever worked with, and maybe the hardest, most difficult person I ever worked with, were both from the cast of Cheers. So
Oh.
yeah, but anyway, we'll stay the positive and talk about how
Exactly. Stay happy.
Scott, did you see 3 Men and a Baby as a kid? And
you kind of have to.
Yeah,
if
everybody
you
saw
had
it.
TBS, you saw it every Saturday. It was on. It felt like that, Jurassic Park, and like The Abyss.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've seen that. I've seen a couple versions of it. Ice Age, obviously, probably the more modern takes on it.
Yeah,
most definitely avoided the John Wayne one.
Yeah, he's not a John Wayne fan. We've discovered.
Not a John Wayne
I get
fan.
it. I get it.
He's not
I
alone.
will
in
say
that.
he's less John Wayne than he used. That he is less John Wayne in this one than he is in a lot of them.
That's true. But I do have to say one quick thing on 3 Men and a Baby.
It's a baby.
I have to say one quick thing on 3 Men and a Baby. I will be remiss, and somebody will kick my ass for this. The reason the VHS tapes went crazy for 3 Men and a Baby was the hidden ghost.
Right.
There was a scene that you had to pause the frame to see the ghost child in a scene.
Yes.
It's actually a standee of Ted Danson, and the edit is pretty terrible because there's all these standees of him around from his various commercials. But oh my gosh, the urban legend of that kid dying in that apartment.
Yeah, it was a big deal that everyone thought there was this ghost, and that it was the ghost of the child that killed himself with a shotgun in the apartment. They didn't even have an apartment. The whole thing was shot in a studio in Toronto.
Leonard Nimoy even debunked it.
Yeah,
and he's a believer.
I very rarely do ask, nerdy questions, but I did ask Ted about the ghost in Three Men and a Baby, and he laughed and said, yes, it's me in a tuxedo. And he said, thank God for DVD at the time. It was pretty Blu-ray. Maybe Blu-ray was fairly new, but he said, thank God for DVD, because on the DVD you can see it a lot clearer in widescreen. But on VHS, I get why people thought it was not supposed to be there, or there was even rumors for a while that it was a crew member hiding behind the curtain, but the script supervisor or something. But yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up, especially being a ghost hunter.
Yeah, well, I team up with a lot of ghost hunters and Bigfoot hunters, so I had to bring that up. Otherwise, I would be remiss and people would kick my butt.
No, thank you. That's great.
I never even heard of this, so I'm actually.
It's worth looking up. It's one of the kind of most famous urban myths about
early viral before the internet was a thing. So
the VHS era.
The Omen, and like I know the Omen one with the kid and all that stuff, but like every once in a while you hear and you're like, no. But the one that always gets me is how do these things spread pre-internet?
How did we know? How
do we know? But it's the same all over the world. We all know. But like, how did this happen? Like,
it was telephone, and the playgrounds of the world would share it, and
and that VHS sold millions and millions of copies, and the price of it was close to $90 for a VHS back then. Like it was not a cheap endeavor, but they really, and it's those playground tales, right? Schoolyard.
Urban legends are fun. Are fun.
Nowadays the internet stuff is like it gets garbled from person to person to person, but to have it stay that intact and go around the world actually shocks me.
Don't get me into Moonraker and that Dolly had braces. We'll just skip that right now. We'll just otherwise that's another hour episode.
I was just reading about that one too not long ago.
I thought she did, because I thought that was the reason why they connected, was because he had him and she had him.
Nope. Never had him.
It's literally a VHS. It's another VHS low resolution thing.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, there's a movie we watched, but I'm more on this. This is great.
Yeah. They actually went out of their way to make sure she didn't look like she had braces, by painting it frame by frame to whiten her teeth so that it didn't look like she was underage in that one.
She had been fitted for braces, and they, so that got out there. And in fact, some of the summaries describe her as having braces, why she looks at Jaws and has, he smiles, she smiles, she's supposed to have braces, but they cut that. Now she's just this cute little thing with pigtails and very large breasts. So that's why I loved it. But I remember her having braces too. And when I watched it on DVD, I remember seeing it and she didn't have braces. And I'm like, what is this, effery? Oh my gosh, they've done the Steven Spielberg changing the guns with walkie-talkies. They changed her teeth. And then I was like, then I went down the rabbit hole of Mandela effects where no, she never had braces. What? I know she did.
We're now a James Bond podcast, which I'm for.
All right. So next up, Dr. No.
No, the perfect James Bond film is Goldfinger, and I stand behind it.
All right.
Hard to argue.
Everything you think of James Bond is in that film.
I like Diamonds Are Forever, but we're close.
Right. I like Our Majesty's Secret Service. That's my favorite.
You want to
because it has Diana Rigg.
I'm not going to weigh in.
Yeah, Diana Rigg. Can't go wrong with Diana Rigg. Okay, do you want to take your drink? I worked with Diana Rigg.
On what?
On Superboy many years ago, the Superboy TV show.
Oh, yeah.
And she got cut, but I got to work with Patrick McNee and Diana Rigg for 5 minutes as an audio intern.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. She's one of my all-time favorites. That's amazing. Okay, but back to this. We're
talking about a cowboy movie.
This could be our longest episode if we keep this up, and I love it. We should do it.
The movie's only 80 minutes. The podcast is going to be longer any way you look at it.
Absolutely. Scott, how did this kind of, it's a very close to being a silent film, but there, like you said, there's a sparse sound. So, but did you find it interesting, gritty?
The thing that
well made.
I noticed about it is, and I don't know when it happened, but I found the camera. So one of the things when we were doing Day of the Outlaw, I talked about how the camera moved.
Mhm.
When we did
40 guns, maybe?
yeah, 40 Guns as well. I
Yeah.
talked about how the camera moved. How
Mhm.
like so at some point we got this whole stick the camera, get the shot, then move the camera, get the next shot. But like
Mhm.
this like pan in shots, or it just felt like for the age of the film, the minute I saw it was 1929, I expected it to be a lot stiffer, if that
Mhm.
makes sense. Two people in front, like here's my line, say your line, here's my line, next shot. But it was actually really dynamic is the word I'm going to use. A lot of wide shots, especially when he's coming back, they're coming back with the kid. I was really pleasantly shocked about how modern it felt,
Mhm.
to the point where I thought I was watching a black and white version of a modern film at one point, and I had to stop and go find a trailer for it and be like, no, that's the film I'm watching, and start it up again. Like I was half hour, 40 minutes in when I went, I think this might not be the right film. Like,
Yeah,
and that shocked me.
especially considering some of the newer versions kind of pull the punches a little bit more
Mhm.
than this. Like this was willing to go darker, grittier, at
That I was not expecting.
Yeah.
My biggest criticism of the film is it's a lot of Act One, a little bit of a lot of Act Two, not a lot of Act Three. Um,
Mhm.
No.
very there's no, and I actually kind of liked it. He gets back, spoilers, he gets back to town with the kid, and
Mhm.
there's no real celebration. It's just like the mission is done
Yeah.
and roll credits.
And he takes
There's not,
drinks the poison water knowing his time is running
yeah,
out.
I love that. I thought that was it sets it up. I love the foreshadowing, the Chekhov's
Mhm.
gun of like
Mhm.
we're going to introduce it, let's use it. Um I actually really enjoyed it a lot more than I felt like I was going to. Um
Mhm.
Not even just like I found the acting actually I was pretty okay with it. The lady in the covered wagon is a little off-putting, but then when you find out why, I
Mhm.
thought that was, oh, that makes sense to me. Um the special effects action for its time period are actually really good in my opinion.
Oh,
Yeah,
when
they're
when
brilliant.
barbed wire was probably my favorite, but when he uh ends his life leaning against
Yeah,
that cactus, like he's in frame and you see the puff of smoke from his
and then you
gun.
just
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was very well done, especially for the
Mhm.
time, and a very bold choice for the
I
time.
actually like their dynamic. I actually like their dynamic a lot. I like that he's like, I'm going to go rob the bank, and then he goes and does it. I was
And he
like, oh,
did
that's
it.
Yeah, I love
yeah.
that.
Yeah, and the sheriff was a bit of a pervert, so you couldn't get too behind the sheriff.
That was, I
Um,
actually thought, a nice touch, actually, because
yeah,
it says it's a town full of bad people and whatever, and
right,
even
And,
yeah,
the
and
sheriff.
back then, it was kind of still the good guys were good guys, bad guys were bad guys. This is one of those first ones where it's kind of like, all right, there's some gray here, and they
yeah,
didn't do that with sheriffs back then. Thankfully, pre-code they could get away with it. So
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah. I think they would run into criticism for sure. Even that scene would have been trimmed down, even if they wanted to show that he was jealous that he had this rapport with the dancers. They wouldn't have been able to show him trying to peer at him or leer at the women and stuff.
I gotta say,
And
I loved the cat fight.
Oh, yeah.
that's funny.
Yeah.
That was one of the best bits. It was so out there. Like you just don't
Yeah.
expect to see that, especially given the time.
And he was goading him on a little bit
Yeah.
by
Oh,
kind
the
of
hair.
yeah.
hair.
yeah,
Yeah, it was pretty.
Definitely
I
good.
thought Carmelita. Was it Carmelita? She was pretty cute. She was
Stir the pot.
she was a pretty cute little character. Dave, you said that of all the versions you watched, this one stood out as your favorite. Is that still kind of the case?
Yeah. There was a point in the 1936 one, the death, because you brought up the one death in the where he kills himself.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was handled better in the 1936 one.
Mm-hmm.
He gives a big Shakespearean speech, and it's off in the distance, and it's a much more dramatic moment.
Yeah, it's just the
And I really
sound
like
effect.
that. But
Yeah.
other than that, almost every scene I preferred in Hell's Heroes.
Both of them kill themselves technically, or actually all of them kill themselves.
They really all do.
The first one that does
in their own way.
Well,
Yeah.
the second one, he walks off. He obviously knows he's dying. He leaves the note.
Yeah.
And then the third one knows it's going to happen. He drinks the water, right?
True.
The
True.
classic.
But
I shall be gone for some time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to go in the desert to meet a fellow. I was like, oh, I know exactly what's going on.
Yeah. It was interesting that you said you thought this was like a new film and maybe you were watching the wrong thing. I noticed a lot of the stuff that came from the silent era brought forward into the talkies. Some of the makeup, the way they handled makeup, the shots of the woman in the covered wagon had that soft tone, and I think it was just a matter of the lighting that was there.
Yeah,
but it gave a very silent film feel to it.
Well, most of the other versions, if I recall, have a lot more kind of religious symbolism. Like I think the John Ford's where she's giving birth always look like a manger. That's what it's supposed to look like. And then even the covered wagon in his looks like a manger. This didn't have that.
No,
which I was very happy with. Just real quick on performances, I do have to say, Barbed Wire, Raymond Hatton, he's really, really good.
Yeah,
where he's just so wounded. But Bob, Charles Bickford.
Charles Bickford,
he plays smarmy so well.
Yeah, he's
he's perfect. Also, he's a rattlesnake, man. It's Western as it gets. He's so grizzled.
It does something that I found very modern, which I really, 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 really appreciated. And it's off Barbar's. No, not Barbar. The other one is when he finds the milk. He's like, I'm going to take mine. You can use yours. And then later on, he's like, I'm happy you gave the milk to the kid. Yeah, and it's such a small line. It's when they're leaving the last of it. But it shows that, like, on the outside. But I feel a lot of films at the time would have shown, like, oh, he can have my milk, like kind of thing. Like instead, they were like, no, it doesn't matter for the story. It really doesn't. But it was like a little detail that didn't need to be spelled out. I was really happy for it.
Yeah, he kind of plays the heart. He's kind of the heart of the crew. Yeah.
And there was a silent version of this exact movie too. They did release a silent version because at the time not a lot of theaters were equipped. So in order to get it out there. So I imagine the crews, the lighting, the makeup, all that, it was still very much in the silent era.
Yes, it was.
Even though it was maybe a little bit of an experiment of a talkie.
It actually looked like when I was watching it again recently that there were bits where you could tell maybe this was the silent version and they kind of just did a little sound over it because it's like, oh wait, I think they're talking there and they're not actually talking. So
which happens a lot. Yeah.
Do you think they had? Sorry, you know how we have like made for IMAX or made for talkies? Like it's this scene was filmed in talkie vision.
Now, the other thing I really liked about this one was, as you said, was all of the New Jerusalem scenes. The town scenes in those later versions almost get glossed over.
Very much so, yeah.
And they don't in this. And it feels more put together as a result of that. You see him, you see the bank robbery and him killing the banker.
And even tying the we killed the cashier. We knew we knew his name.
Yeah.
Then that ends up being the father, and we have to, the actual connection. That's not a theme that comes up in every version.
No,
that's something that they chose for this. And I felt the John Ford, John Wayne version was a lot closer on the dialogue in the book. And there was a few beats that were really, really close to the book. I will say I'm glad they changed the name of the cactus because the cactus in the book has a very horrible name. We don't use anymore.
We can't talk about that on this show.
So. Yeah, so I thought that was even in 19. What year was that one?
1916.
40. No, the
The
48. Even in 48,
yeah.
they made that choice of like, oh, we'll call them barrelhead cacti, and there was a lot more effort put into showing them squeezing the
water
meat of that cacti, and it was a little bit more believable that they could be making it across these treks of the desert with no food, no water, and no horses. I, of all the versions I watched, and I, like you, Dave, I tried to watch as many as I could. I actually kind of preferred the 1936 Three Godfathers. It was a little bit, it's definitely not as gritty. It was a little bit more slick and urbane, and all the New Jerusalem scenes in that were very, humorous, and there was some really good jokes in it, which you wouldn't see in Hell's Heroes for sure.
There were still some good comedy moments in Hell's Heroes, though.
Oh yeah, but not those type of jokes. Like there was
Act 1 is where it is.
Yeah. When they still kind of think that they're going to make it away and everything. But that I really enjoyed Hell's Heroes of all the versions, but I think that's the one that I did watch a couple times, and I really enjoyed every time. And I liked that there was a little bit more of a connection between the bank robbers and the town, whereas in Hell's Heroes, I felt like they just got to town to rob the bank, which actually makes more sense and is probably a better choice. But that one, there was a little bit of like history with a girl and a few more kind of connections. It felt more like a Sam Fuller or even a Howard Hawks kind of Western. That said, I think if we'll get into what should be on this list. I'm really glad this one was on there. It was really interesting.
Me too.
Yeah.
It's definitely one a lot of people don't think about. I gotta say, I gotta do my eerie travels bit, right? Because things is all about traveling to spooky locations and stuff like that. This was filmed. The reason New Jerusalem worked so well, it was filmed in Bodie, California, which is now a ghost town. But then everybody thought it was a ghost town. No, it's just really close. It was kind of dying at the time. It had like maybe 100 people still living there, and that's why it still looked lived in. It still looked good, and I assume some of those people were maybe the extras.
I guarantee, because I mean, there's, like you said, there was not a lot of people in town, and we're again 1929. We're not far removed. There may be one generation away from when these things would have taken place.
The boomtown of it. But what's kind of neat is because that's on film, we can see a lot of these places, including that bank that they robbed in was still an active bank at the time, was about to close. But just 3 years later, there was a great fire in 1932, and 90% of the town got destroyed.
Oh, no.
3 years after this. So a bunch of the buildings, including the bank, not there anymore. The hotel, all that, just gone.
Oh, that's sad.
But the church is one of the major structures that survived, and it's still there. That last scene, where the Christmas Eve scene is shot, is still there. But the best thing that's still there when you go visit, that I was just like, oh my gosh, is the hearse.
Yep.
The horse-drawn hearse that they use in the movie is still there in the Bodie Museum.
I love it.
The same one they freaking used.
Yeah, and it's funny because in a lot of the remakes, that hearse keeps showing up. Like they really went out of their way to like make sure that the hearse was used, and I love that it's been preserved. And I'm thinking horses on film, Eerie Travels Road Trip coming up.
Yeah, there you go. I will say it's. I remember it's super high. I want to say it's 7,000, 8,000 feet high. So it is brutal there. And especially since you're right near Death Valley. Oh my God. Yeah. I know we were over 100 degrees, and I think we were there in like September, October. So, and it was still insane. So,
all right. Well, we'll we'll zinc our sniffers and get it going.
Yeah. I'd love to see some more modern, because I went there in like the 80s. I'd love to see what it looks like today. So
yeah, how it's preserved. I bet you they have a pretty good website. We'll check.
I'd kind of like to do one of those. A lot of the YouTubers go to filming locations and hold up like stills and then pull it
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
I'd love to see somebody do that with the movie, and then
I'll talk to Mark, our former guest, Mark Kogan. He'll be back on an upcoming episode too. But that's what Mark does. He goes all over the world and finds those filming locations.
Perfect.
And yeah, so I'll tell him that. Put it on his list. I'm sure.
there's
he'll
supposed to
drop
be a
everything.
ghost or two in the church, so I'm curious.
Well, and especially
Probably caused from the preacher who shot the guy.
that's what I was
before
going
he
to get
gave him
to.
the last
Yeah.
rites.
That's
Like-
amazing. Man.
Yeah, you got a town full of bad people, and you're like, yeah, okay, they're not all bad. And then the preacher comes out, and he's got a gun. I was just like, oh, it
Not a
really
lot of
is
evidence.
all of them.
They
Like,
just say, he's like, what's going on? They robbed the
Yeah.
bank. Oh, boom, bang, bang.
Yeah.
he's about.
Take a lot
I
of
preach Jesus, but he's about to go meet him. Like they're like it's just like it's like
It's not what it is. Support your local sheriff on this list anywhere. Or support your
It's
support your
not.
local
It's not
governor?
on the list. That director is on this list for some other projects. but
That's a shame because again, just
That's a fun
I think
one.
it's support your local gunfighter where the town is just like really really crazy.
yeah,
Because it's a mining boom town and the sheriff has a gun, and then support your local gunfighter. The town's crazy too, but because they don't have a sheriff. So, but
yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
both great movies, and should be on the list. Right under
Yeah,
Tremors 4.
I wish there was more things we could pull off of this. I think there are going to be a few that are definitely coming off, but our list of off the list episodes is getting longer and longer and longer. So
Yep.
I have a feeling we're not going to be done after 100 episodes.
No, definitely not.
episode already.
Spoiler alert. Let's see. We're talking about The Poison Well. We talked about it's a Christmas movie. That's another thing. I kind of once this hit, I was like, oh, I should have unrandom it and saved it for an upcoming Christmas episode. But some of the versions really lean more into Christmas than Hell's Heroes for sure.
Yeah.
I liked the little speech they give about getting the tree from the high Sierras in the one version, but I felt like the John Wayne one leaned into the Christmas spirit the most. Again, not my favorite of all the versions, but definitely the one I'm most familiar with. Like you, Mark, I saw it as a child and had no idea there were other versions at the time, and definitely the one going into this that I was the most familiar with.
Yeah, I wasn't raised that way, so I didn't realize how Catholic it was. But that one is heavy Catholic. But of course, John Ford. That's in like 90% of his movie.
Right, exactly. And then the mules at the end when he's getting into town, he needs the mules to help him ride in or like get the baby in. And
it's so the Magi, of Bethlehem. Yeah.
I guess the only thing that unchurches it more than all these other ones is all these other ones they seem to find the locals at the church at the end, and out of nowhere, the John Wayne one, he walks into a saloon with the baby.
Yeah, with the
they cut the saloon out of the beginning, so
they have the saloon at the end. Yeah,
you gotta have a saloon. We have that. Well, they have that set on the back lot. We got to do something with it.
Yeah, but in John Wayne's contract, he was never allowed to be more than 5 feet from a bottle. So
you gotta get him in there.
Wait, I don't know if that's true or not. I just feel it is.
They drink in church too, I guess.
But,
I don't have a ton more notes on this.
It kind of stands. To be fair, the movie kind of stands. It's like it's like you said when I was talking earlier. It just kind of it feels borderline abrupt how it ends. I think a modern film would have added 20 minutes on the end of being them discussing what they should do with him, but he already took the water. We knew what was going to happen. Like it's because they kept showing the noose and then he hallucinates the noose, but like I assumed that when I was watching it that's where we were going with this is he either that or heart of gold, we're going to pardon him from the noose because of the baby boy
because he saved the baby.
No, it's just like, nope, mission's done. We're good. You don't need to see the rest of it. No. Sopranos, this thing, we're good.
In this version, in the Hell's Heroes version, did you get the impression that anybody in the church would have known who that baby was and that it was connected to the cashier?
It's the sheriff's kid, she said.
No, it's the cashier's kid.
Yeah.
Is that what it is? I thought I heard sheriff. Sorry.
Yeah, no, the cashier that they killed at the bank.
That's the John Wayne version.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, my bad. So yeah,
Yeah.
that makes more like I think there's more to it, but like why is she out there? I never got that.
Yeah, I think in some versions that's the only version where her husband is in New Jerusalem.
Yeah.
In some versions, it's her husband that screws up the watering hole that allows the horses to drink the alkaline poison water and goes off into the desert. And in the 36 version, they happen upon a dead man before they get to the watering hole, and that's the husband that's connected to the.
Oh, and does the watering hole have a sign in the 36, or they just kind of put it together with the body?
The poison water hole has a sign, but the water hole that's dried out, it seems to be a place that kind of everybody that crosses the desert knows about and plans for. And in some of the versions, they were really polishing off their water, knowing that, oh well, we're almost at the
tanks.
But then when they get there, and they even say, oh, these tanks are going to be surrounded by a lot of dead bodies coming up, because until word gets out that it's dried up, people are going to count on it. And that's a dark sentiment, even in some of the lighter versions, they do mention that, like, oh, it's, this tank being dried up is a problem.
Yeah.
In the John Wayne one, there's a kind of a B story of the posse still chasing them, which draws out the runtime quite a bit, and
kind of pads the film.
Yeah, it definitely pads the film, and maybe makes I bet they thought it ratcheted up the tension a little. I don't know that it does. I don't know if it needs it. I think the stripped bare bones versions work fantastic. So
one of the things I liked is, like, I've seen longer episodes of Game of Thrones. Like, it told its story. It didn't overstay its welcome. And you know what? There's something to be said about that. Nowadays we're complaining that, like, every movie I go see in the theater is 2.5 hours, 3 hours long now. Like, where are the editors? I've seen longer movies tell less story. Like, it is,
yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. 100%. It's like the Bud Bedekers too. At 78 minutes, they feel rich. They feel like a journey. This one, you really get the sense that they had to cross 80 miles of desert, and it doesn't need to be 2.5 hours, 3 hours to get that point across.
Yeah, there's
some of these
streaming shows that are like 7 episodes you could have done in an hour and a half movie. Yeah, it's
absolutely, especially some of the 6-part documentaries that get drawn out. And
I was thinking back, there were a few Western comedies, because we were talking support your local sheriff, support your local gunfighter. It's like Waterhole Number 3 and Texas Across the River are just those ones that are brisk. They tell you what you got to do. They're fun. They usually have a fun, like Waterhole Number 3 was Roger Miller narrating it, and it's just so great. Of course, again, they were postcode, but they did some stuff that's like, wow, you couldn't do that today. And then this, like I said, it's just that perfect pacing that this has, even though you really feel like you are in the desert and about to die right along with these guys a couple times.
Absolutely. The pacing's amazing to me, especially coming out of the silent era, where they would be pausing for word cards or whatever they would have called them. Anytime they had to pause for that stuff, the editing of a silent movie is so different than what they were willing or able to do once they had sound.
Yeah.
And like you say, there is a little bit of score, but very sparse. And
I wonder if the sparse part is where the words would have shown up.
Yeah, I wonder too. I looked to try to find the silent version of this, and I couldn't find it anywhere. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but I'd be interested to know how the pacing changes in those moments. But that said, I just think this, the first crossing and the storm that scares away their horses and all that plays out so well. Finding the woman in the wagon and then the baby, I'm trying to remember in Hell's Heroes, the baby's not born yet, right?
No, they give she
Yeah.
gives birth in the, and because the
Yeah.
guy's like, I've only ever done cattle and horses or whatever,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they're like, that's more than us. So
Yeah. And then in some versions, the baby's already born. In some versions, and I think the John Wayne version, they spend a long time at the wagon. And
Yeah.
I feel like that second act at the wagon is the bulk of the movie. This one, I felt they kind of made all those kind of right moves, and then they decided we can't go forward with the baby. We're not going to make it to the train, and we're not going to make it safety. It can't be done without horses. But the choice to go back is obviously a death sentence in a couple ways. But I feel like they get to that quicker, and they're like, we made a promise. That idea that, I mean, I think this story is born on that promise to a dying woman to save her baby.
Yeah.
More than anything, more than the Magi, more than anything, it's just if a dying woman hands you a baby and says, save this baby, you're their godfather, that at your core, you do everything.
you're on a mission from God at that point.
God, yeah. And
Yeah.
especially right after you said you were going to try to, sexually assault her.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was
And this version made no qualms about that.
Nope.
That was their
again,
plan.
pre-code.
They were very
They're
nefarious
villains.
men,
Yep.
and they were going to, and the fact that they go from people that were willing to do that to these people that were willing to die to save this baby.
Redemption.
I mean, that's the redemption tale, and that's I mean,
I feel
right to Darth Vader.
the interesting, I already said Obi-Wan, but I'm doing
That's
Obi-Wan.
true.
Yeah.
Star Wars drink.
But
And I
the
had
movie-
Mandalorian in the
oh yeah, no,
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
Star Wars
I saw
drink.
that.
yeah. It kind of I kind of like the From Dusk Till Dawn feel, where you're settling into one film and then it kind of becomes another.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's interesting, as I think that's why the church scene at the end actually works really well. I thought it was extra, but whatever. Your cast slowly dwindles to 2 as the heat and as the water gets sparse, as they're slowly, and then all of a sudden when we get back to life again in the church, you see life again, and here's this kid, right? But we go from this like happy, like, oh, we're here to, it's a heist film and we're gonna get away for pew 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 pew.
I'm going over to rob the bank, and then he really does.
Yeah. Like it feels very, and then it becomes the minute you see that the wagon gets introduced, it changes tone a lot actually into this, and that's I could see the argument that the end of Act 1 is the stealing of the money, but I would argue the end of Act 1, beginning of Act 2 is the covered wagon.
Right.
And that's what I was saying. Like,
I'd say the getaway is part of Act 1 for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Because it's almost 2 films stuck together.
Yeah,
it's it would be a prequel defining who these characters kind of are, and then you get to the meat and potatoes of what this film actually is. Not until half hour, 40 minutes into the flick.
Without the wagon and the lady and the baby and that the Godfather moment, their horses getting loose in the storm and leaving, were they going to make it anywhere? What was what would have been the plan? I think they die in the desert.
I think they were lost souls.
Yeah.
But this is the God giving them a chance. That's the way the book's written anyway.
Absolutely.
Argument be made, like we're talking with Dead Man, that the storm took them, and this is purgatory, and this is their road to redemption.
I mean, certainly for their souls, absolutely.
That's what I'm thinking. Like it's because they're all going to die anyway, as we've seen.
Yeah,
and so it's more, where are you? Saint Peter goes, hey, if you take this quest, this deliverance quest, I'll let you go up, But if you say no to this, you got to go visit the guy underground, right? And that would
Yeah.
also go with the Christian themes, the church at the end, all that
Hell
stuff.
is right in the title, you know.
Yep.
I think you know, in 1929 they're pretty overt about their you know, religious ties and the messaging, and I mean it definitely is reinforced in every other version of this. Maybe not Three Men and a Baby, where but even in that, they went out of their way to make the guys kind of rakes. You know, they were ladies' men. They were, you know, that opening montage where they're painting the mural in the elevator lobby. You know, it's an endless carousel of women coming in and out of there, and they're throwing parties, and there's women there that they can kind of barely remember, and you know, so I think at its core, it's a story about bad men going down a bad path, and then this baby looks like a curse, but is actually the redemption moment.
You're saying the rake thing, the whole thing, and the first thing that came to mind is Gutenberg at a bar being all like, "I know the guy from the diabetes commercial. You want to meet him?" Yeah. Like it's a pickup line. Like it's just like I don't know why that I've been trying to make a Cocoon reference this whole thing. But like,
Dave, did you meet Steve Gutenberg at the Comic Expo? He was there.
I didn't know. Because I work with usually one guest, sometimes I'll meet a whole ton of people that are related, and other people I won't even see. I wouldn't even know they were there if I didn't know they were there.
Why was Gutenberg there?
That's a very good question. It may have been. I don't think it was part of a bigger group. I think he's just kind of doing the Comic Expo.
He's mostly for Short Circuit and a couple of his other movies.
Oh yeah, Short Circuit.
Yeah.
Johnny
I think was the other one, the Ghost one with Daryl Hannah. High Spirits.
Okay.
That's one good little fun spooky movie. And
again, another famously nice man. You know,
he was super cool when we met him at one Comic-Con recently.
Did you see the last time Gutenberg came up was he got interviewed in LA because if the car was open during the wildfires, he would go in, put the car in drive, and try to push it out. And he gets interviewed by a news reporter, and the news reporter has no clue who
he is. Idea who he is.
Yeah. He was just a local man.
He's like, I'm just doing what I can. Like, this is something I can do. Like,
okay, he's the real deal. Yeah.
All right, to try to save your love of John Wayne. All right, to try to make you like him a little bit as a good person.
I hope this happens.
All right, there was a movie called The Uninvited, one of my favorite ghost movies of all time. If you haven't watched it, 1944,
I've seen it.
Give it a shot. It's the first movie that treats ghosts like a real thing, not just, it's a guy in a sheet and doing the stupid effects and all that. This was the first one, kind of took him seriously. But Gail Russell was this young, little, timid thing, and it was like her first big movie. Beautiful, beautiful girl in that. But she would keep freezing on set. She was just like terrified. She had very bad social anxiety. So one of the actors kept telling her, "Oh, take a drink. You'll get the edge off. You'll be able
John
to do
Wayne?"
No, that's just it. It was all these other guys, and she quickly spirals into alcoholism, very quickly, very young. But she's cast opposite John Wayne in Angel and the Bad Man, 1947, I think. And he saw what she was going through, and he kind of becomes her protector. He even says, "I'm keeping her away from the Hollywood machine." I think it's the first time anyone had ever actually said that about an actress. And he was really her champion of this because he saw what he went through, and he was still going through. And he's like, "I got to protect her."
I like that.
And she was unemployable, right? Nobody was going to cast her because she's the alcoholic. And in the 50s, that ain't going to happen. So Wayne, top of his game in the 50s, and he was a producer. He started giving her roles just to keep her in work so she could help her get back on her feet and stuff, and basically provide her income when nobody else would.
I'm legitimately sure. Like, I believe everyone has redeemable moments. That's just the way we are. No one is pure evil. His acting is god awful, but
agreed for 90%. There's a few.
I think he's particularly bad. I do like him. I mean, I don't like him as politically or whatever, but I do enjoy a John Wayne Western. And I think there's ones where he's cast perfectly as old cranky John Wayne.
Yeah, when he got old and grizzled, he got much better.
And even there's a couple where young, handsome John Wayne really works. I will say Three Godfathers is one of my least favorite John Wayne performances.
I agree. It hit me at an early age.
Yeah.
More quick thing about Gail Russell, John Wayne. A lot of people thought they were having an affair because he was doing all this, including his wife. Because one night he stayed at her house all night because they were trying to get her drunk, and she just really needed it. And so when he got home, his wife, John Wayne's wife, shot at him with a gun, just missed him. That of course came up in the divorce, and of course they were trying to make her that they've been having an affair. No, they didn't. But sadly, she still died of drinking herself to death when she was only 36. But Wayne's quote was she was the angel to his bad man, and he really wanted to save her. And he felt bad about it.
He tried. He did. He
tried. But
sometimes,
he may have been a terrible actor, but he was a good guy.
So, there were moments. I'm sure there were
moments a good guy.
Rarely do I feel old, but like this specific episode has been like you just keep firing off movies. I was like, I've never even heard of this. Borderline the modern audience POV. I
ran a video store in the 80s.
Oh, there we go.
And so I was in charge of ordering movies. So basically any movie that came out before 1989 and was on VHS, I saw it.
I feel every once in a while I get deep into the video game crap of like, oh, this person's here and here, and this person working. Yeah, I'm like, I now know how people feel. I like Brittany feels when I get down into this.
Sorry.
I love it. Don't get me wrong. I'm enjoying all the.
No, I love that. Thank you so much because this and a lot of other podcasts are very quick to vilify John Wayne, especially for his politics and sometimes for his talent. So I'll take any time people are willing to be positive about anybody. That's great. I love it.
Good story.
Let's get into our horses on film count because we kind of alluded to the problem that they're facing in this movie, but of the 4 levels of horses we have, no horses, some horses, lots of horses, all the horses. Let's start with Dave. Dave, where do you think this falls?
I think it falls on the low end of some horses because they have horses that the early scenes, there's plenty of horses, but of course, as we know, they lost their horses. And so the second 2/3 of the movie is no horses.
Yeah,
I think there's enough horses in that first
in the opening. Okay, and they wouldn't have got out there without the horses. So.
Exactly, like it was a major plot point that they didn't have the horses after. So I feel comfortable saying some horses, low end of some horses, but some horses.
All right, how about you, Mark? What do you think?
I agree with that. I just think since the plot so hinges on them losing the horses, that pushes it up a notch or two. I would think. I don't think low end. I think because that's such an important plot point, and the poison water because of the horses. That's huge secondary plot point. So you can say, oh yeah, they're not in every scene, but they are in every scene spiritually. So there you go. That's my folklore take on that. Horses are the are hidden in every scene. So
I agree 100%. I was going to say all the horses, honestly. It's one of those ones like The Rider, where the horses don't show up often, but they're a key part of this film. Not only just getting away from the bank just as a mode of transportation, but the decision making to go back to Jerusalem was very much hinged on the fact that horses were gone. Like, and if they were still there, that doesn't happen. He doesn't drink the water. It just doesn't work.
And the horse-drawn hearse also stands out to me.
Bonus points for that, for sure.
Bonus points for that. So I think I would be 100% on board if everybody just said it's a no horse movie, it's a 0 horse movie because of that moment where they lose the horses, and then most of the movie, I'd say the bulk of the movie, there's no horses. But every point that you guys just made is absolutely right. Like, I really do feel that because they don't have the horses is the plot line, at least some horses is the
Also,
at least.
if you say anything more than some horses, you get to disagree with Dave, and that's always feels good.
Yeah. Anytime there's a discrepancy between Scott and Dave, the world is in balance,
which is almost always. We have very different styles.
Absolutely. Okay, how about ratings out of 5? Let's start with you, Mark. Where do you with
I
5
think it
stars?
holds up. It's solid. I think there's a couple actings that fall into the tropes of silent acting. I think this was still early days. They didn't quite know how to make a modern film, but I think that makes it so unique. So I give it a 4 out of 5. I think it's
all right.
I think it's one of those ones I could watch it again tomorrow and still enjoy it. So
yeah, that's interesting. I watched it 3 times, and then again a few times, just pulling clips out of it. And I definitely had moments where I was like, oh, is this scene from this one, or is this scene from especially the other black and white ones where it was hard to tell. But every time I saw a clip from this one, it was like, oh yeah, that was a good scene. Oh yeah, I like this performance. Or, oh, look, they did that with the gun. Or, there was a lot of those moments that it really made it stand out. How about you, Dave? What,
real quick, that cinematography in that's really good too. Sorry.
Yeah, we didn't get to it. No, the cinematography is really good.
Especially this lighting, in the desert, in the summer, in the heat, it could have been very high contrast, very hard to put to film in 1929.
Yeah.
But there are subtleties and really good lighting work in this that is again ahead of its time.
I interrupt quickly. Sorry,
yes.
Dave. I just watched Mark take a drink and I went, that wasn't Star Wars, and Cam didn't mention who he worked with. I'm trying to figure out what the drink was. Oh no, he's just
it was just genuine.
Yeah.
I have epilepsy. I have to take drinks a lot.
No, you're good. You're good. That's not it in my head. I'm just like, okay, what did
sorry.
you do?
There's a moment in this movie. I mean, in a lot of movies, Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is another one, and there's a moment in Three Amigos where they're cleaning off their canteens.
Yes.
And I purposely, before I sit down to watch any of those movies, I make sure I have more than one glass of water, because I
think it's because we keep talking about water holes and deserts.
Yeah, exactly. Deserts and heat and summer and Mojave, and definitely. Well, Scott likes to hear Dave's opinion first, so let's go to Dave.
Oh yeah.
So, I agree with what Mark was saying. It's a fabulous, a magnificent example of a transitory time of filmmaking, that where you see all of these modern things that are going to come, and all of these holdovers from the silent era merging seamlessly. I had to give it 4 stars as well.
Wow.
A couple 4 stars. I watched it more than once.
Yeah.
And I watched all of these other versions, and that's kind of my benchmark for a 4. Not that I won't shift up or down with that, but that is kind of one of my benchmarks. Will I watch this again? Do I want to watch this again? And the answer was yes. So 4 stars.
All right. Yeah. And you're right. Like I've said before, it's not just the movies we're covering, it's everything kind of peripheral that is really adding to my enjoyment of doing this, and picking up the original story and reading the story and reading about, all the times it's been adapted and all these things. It really kind of like was an enjoyable couple of weeks of going down this journey. And I think the fact that you fired up 6, 7 versions of this story goes a long way to say that, you're enjoying this. So that's great.
Full disclosure, one of those versions is only 6 minutes long.
True. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Oswald the Lucky Rabbit.
And they are making an Oswald movie. John Favreau is
didn't know about that.
He was also
helming that
in the video game Epic Mickey.
Yes,
Epic Mickey.
Oswald is the Oh, it says because it's a Warren Spector game.
Yeah,
Warren Spector.
It's got that good. 50s kind of.
One Spectre is
Yeah.
like my go-to when it comes to like Deus Ex and like System Shock.
I got to take a drink. I got to hang out with him at a GameStop conference for about 2 hours.
No, that's super cool.
I got him to sign an Oswald Lucky Rabbit ears that he signed it. Shodan
Nice.
lives. So there
Shodan lives. System Shock. I hope System Shock 3 happens so badly.
Oh, I was very happy with the remake System Shock 2 for the
Yeah,
25th
they did
anniversary,
really well on
just
them.
so you could play
Yeah.
multiplayer again.
Yep, Citadel. Remember Citadel Station.
Yeah.
So review-wise, I'm usually Mark. You might not know this, but I'm usually the yin to Dave's wrong, and so in this
Easy
case,
as
we're
that.
going to almost agree on this one. I'm giving it 3.5. 4 is like I like the film. A 4.5 is I would rewatch the film fairly frequently. A 5 is I like Proposition. I give a 5. I love that film. I really do. This one I don't see myself going back to, more so than not because any technical reasons or casting reasons, mostly my time reasons, but I actually really enjoyed almost everything about this film. The casting is great, like you said. Even when the music is, I like the music, and when the music isn't there, it is very noticeable. It's not there, and that said a lot about it. It never felt, oh, we didn't have the budget to put music here. It was just more like, we really want you to hone in on what we got going. Outside the jarriness of the lady in the covered wagon, just how it's shot. But again, I originally took that as like an ethereal, like this is almost like a mirage being put there. And so it kind of works in a weird way. I liked that. I like a lot about it, but it's a 3.5 for sure for me. But I just don't see myself going back to the well on this one.
I'm right there with you, Scott. I'm at 3.5 as well.
Yeah.
I think it's I could go up, I could go down. I know on Letterboxd I gave it a 3 because I gave the 1936 Three Godfathers a 3.5 because I just felt that was just a little bit more up my alley, a little more enjoyable for me. But the more I watched Hell's Heroes, and really started to think about like the place and time and like you say, this transitional period between sound and silent era, and I always also wondered, like without score, it was probably because a lot of the theaters were still providing like a live score along with it, so I wonder if seeing it in the theater, even in a talkie theater, if somebody was kind of playing along with it too. But I think the more I watched it, the more I appreciated how it was willing to go dark and gritty and interesting. The only thing I didn't like was the tying the baby to the cashier. I thought that gave them an interesting moral dilemma of like, we should feel like the worst people in the world because we literally took the life of this baby's father. I don't think that was necessary. I think there was enough of a story there without that, which is why I liked that. And then it also brings up the question of, why was she out there? Where was she going? Where was he bringing her out east for the first time, and or out west for the first time, and he had established himself in this town, or like what was the story there? And I enjoyed the 1936 version for the New Jerusalem scenes and the kind of the connections they made there. But I do think this stands shoulder to shoulder with it in many ways. In many ways, it's the best version in many ways. So I think 3.5 is where I'm at on that. Is there any other, what do you think about list-worthy? Like, is there any other version of this, or you talked about Texas Across the River. some
Yeah.
other stuff that you'd
Yeah.
maybe like to see on the list? Is there anything else that jumps out at any of you?
Well, I do have one more thing for Eerie Travels, since
Mm.
it's my podcast and
Yeah,
TV show. Eerie Travels, one more thing. There's this, because of this time period, the movie studios were trying to build these big movie palaces to get people back to movie theaters. It's kind of something that needs to be done again. I think all these movies were built, these multiplex were built in the 90s. And so you go to a movie theater, it's terrible now, unless you're in a big city where they just rebuilt one. So all of us out here in the flyover countries, we go to a movie theater, it's like, it smells terrible and all that. What is going on? This thing hasn't been updated since 92. I graduated high school. I graduated college that year. I graduated high school
It was a couple of years ago, though.
Yeah. But anyway, think about that. These movie theaters were built in the early 1900s, and now around this time they're remodeling them, and the studios are building these new things. And Paramount was building a bunch of new theaters, and then they realized talkies were a thing. And so just as they were putting in all these organs and had all these pipes in these theaters, they never used them. They would just turn them into sound things. But most of these theaters still have the piping and stuff like that. There's a famous one in Ashland, Kentucky called the Paramount. It was supposed to be their big premiere one. It was their kind of prototype for what they were going to build. And then, it never happened. And that's a super haunted place with a lot of great stories. My favorite was they filmed Billy Ray Cyrus's Achy Breaky Heart video there. And while they were filming it, he signed,
definitely haunted.
Yeah, he signed autographs for everybody. And he signed one for Joe, the ghost that was there. And the next day, everybody the people who work there put their signed posters on the wall, because it got turned into a production theater where people do acting and stuff like that, stage productions and performances. And so the theater manager was like, take all these posters down. We can't have 14 of the same poster just because Billy Ray signed it to all the girls. Well, at least take Joe's down, because who cares about that? Big mistake. The next day, the theater's trashed by some unseen force. All the signs are gone except for Joe's poster over in the side. So they put it back up, place of prominence, and in the cafe there, and they renamed it Joe's Cafe. And it's still got the Billy Ray to Joe's poster on it.
Nice.
So, but that's one of the first movies shown there, Hell's Heroes.
So unbelievable.
I had to bring it up for this. So
I like that. That's actually
a fun ghost story for y'all to tie into this movie.
The problem with
the story.
Yeah, the problem with the whole story was I couldn't imagine Joe the ghost without a mullet. Like, it's just like the whole time, the minute you
we don't know his story. Apparently, his story is he died working there in the early days. Of course, there's no documentation of anybody named Joe dying there. It's a ghost story. Just enjoy it.
Every theater needs a cat and a ghost. Definitely.
That's a rule.
I believe it.
Yeah. No, took the wrong step off the scaffolding and took an achy breaky big mistakey. And so
there you go.
Yeah.
Well, he's got good taste, I guess. It's not my favorite song, but it certainly was a popular song.
I've heard it once or twice.
It's the same song. It's the same song as Polly Wally Doodle. It's the same tune. That's why it's so catchy.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Next time you hear it, think about that song and you'll be like,
everything's a remake. Everything's a remake.
Everything's a remake.
Yeah. You got to go to the core. You got to go to the
back to the well.
Back to the well. Absolutely.
Back to the water hole.
All right. Well, I think we got it. I think we're there. I think that was a beautiful way to end it.
I think we're about a minute longer than the. Oh no, we're about 14 minutes longer than the film. So
there we go. We did it.
It's such a short film. I mean, this is like, just go watch it. It's not even like. It's not long. Just take an hour of your day.
It's perfect. All right. Well, Dave, where in the world on the internet and out there can we find you?
You can find me all over the internet, mostly on YouTube. You can find me Sundays on Spill the Geek Tea at Spill the Geek T1. Tuesdays on Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. First Thursday of the month, along with Scott and Cameron, on Happiness Patrol at Happiness Patrol Show. In between all that, youtube.com/the rat hole DOTCA. That's the rathole.ca, but YouTube does not like URLs in their URLs, where I play all sorts of fun board games and board game related stuff. Scott, where can we find you?
Okie dokie. Breakfast Scotch National, where I try to make sense of this crazy world we live in right now. May you live in interesting times, I guess. Beyond that, I do join Cam and Dave on that Happiness Patrol podcast. I say it every time, but hopefully this is inching closer, and I'll be able to show off what I got planned there. By the time you see this, maybe it'll even be up. We'll find out. Edited and up. But there's that. Video games, mostly. The game we're working on should be pretty far along by the time actually this airs. So we'll talk about that soon. But beyond that, Mark?
ErieTravels.com has the all my social links, but the YouTube is YouTube at Erie Travels, and we have a lot of fun on there. We talk about ghosts, monsters, legends, Bigfoot, haunted locations, places you can go. Also do books. Our newest one was Dark Side of the Smoky Mountains. Our next one is Dark Heart of Appalachia. Should be coming in June. Pre-orders soon. And those are all, so you can make your travel guides to go to spooky places. And on our Instagram and other things and YouTube shorts, we do daily spooky history and folklore and facts and stuff like that. So tune in and join us, and we'll see you on the other side, as I say.
I love it. Thanks so much. I definitely am going to be planning my ghost trip to Bodie, California. And I thank you so much for being on and bringing a little bit of spookiness to the show, because every show needs a little spooky.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Tremors 4.
Yeah, we're going to watch some Tremors 4. I'm going to look for it as right away. That's on my radar for sure. Anyway, I'm Cameron.
The Graboids, man.
Yeah. I'm on letterbox.com at Cameron Chapman there, and you'll see a Tremors 4 review soon một for sure.
Don't break my heart, man. Don't break my heart.
I will not. I'll give it a fair shake. Absolutely. And then, of course, Horses on Film. We have horsesonfilm.com. We are on Letterbox at Horses on Film. That's where we're keeping our lists of all our upcoming episodes and all our bonus episodes, and we're maintaining our top 4 as these ratings shift things around. So jump on there, follow us. We're getting a pretty good following over there, so it's kind of fun to see. And then Instagram.com. Horses on Film podcast. That's where you'll see our little intro videos every second Monday. If you're just listening to this on Spotify or Apple, you can check out those little intro videos, and then when the next Monday rolls around, you know what's going on as I'm nattering away about some subject that's loosely tied to what we're talking about. Anyway, I hope you guys are enjoying this, and it's been so fun. And if anyone has any questions, or you want to send us any other great recommendations for bonus episodes, ask us any questions, horsesonfilm@gmail.com, or in any comment section or anything, anywhere. Go for it. It's great. Definitely check us out. And thanks so much, Mark, for being here with us today. And Dave and Scott, as always. We'll be back in 2 weeks for a little movie you may have heard of. It is number 4 on the list. We're going top 5 here. It's the second installment of the Dollars trilogy. I kind of wish they had come up in order, but I saw them out of order anyway growing up, so it's all good. We're going for A Few Dollars More.
Fantastic.
Directed by Sergio Leone, starring Clint Eastwood and Lee Van Cleef. It's 132 minutes. It's currently, at time of recording, streaming free on Amazon Prime and Tubi. However, I just loaded it up this morning and it said it's leaving in 9 days. So by the time this airs, it might not be there. It doesn't mean it's not going to be somewhere else by the time this airs. It's one of those films that is available. There's a great DVD box set that I have at my father-in-law's trailer. I should maybe get out there and try to get it. But yeah, it's a great little trilogy of movies. We're going to the second installment for a few dollars more. So that should be a fun one. But one last thank you. I want to thank, of course, Brett Alec Bailey for our beautiful theme song. You can check out his link tree there at Sour Bailey's. Always the best way to end an episode. And thank you so much, Brett. And thank you again for joining us, Mark. This was a pleasure. I hope to have you back again and again and again. We have a lot of episodes to get through, so you're on the radar too, just like Tremors 4. So.
Happy to be back. Happy to be back anytime. Like I said, Support Your Local Sheriff, Waterhole number 3, the obscure ones I'm really good at, but also Texas Across the River, another fun one. I know they're not on the list because they're not that great, but they are fun. I love my
we love fun. We love fun, and we're really getting a lot of fun ones here. And this was a fun one. Thank you so much, everyone. So, all right, good night, y'all, and have a good one, and Merry Christmas, I guess.
Happy trails.
Merry Christmas.